like
This conference will
two and a
now be
half, 3 hours.
recorded.
Yeah, I've seen. That's why I jumped on that time. I was like, "Holy crap, what's wrong? My video hadn't come through yet." And even though it only processes the recorded part, it doesn't start process until the meeting's over. Which I don't care. I usually don't get it out till next week anyway. Oh, do I have it out now?
Yeah, you put Jason, Travis, and I together, and it's not good.
So, here's that. I was talking about the new fans. I've got some information on them again, and then some links to them as well. But it's starting with container 103, and for anybody who is keeping up with their container number. Um, and it's going to start from there. So it may not be all of them from 103 forward. It may be peppered in at first, but we're getting away from the centrifugal fans and getting to the inline quiet axial fans. And these are plenty sufficient. So you may not even need to go get an aftermarket inline fan anymore. So the Aurora has a 3-inch port. The Nova 51 and 63 are going to now have an 8-inch port. And the Nova 24, Nova 35, and the Odins are going to have a 6-inch port. So, and the Mini 60, I think, is going to be a 6-inch as well. It's going to be the same as the Nova 24. So that's the change coming in the exhaust system from container 103 forward. So that'll be that's some neat innovation, because everybody's getting those things. They're like, hey, why don't we just put them in there anyway? Or, something similar. And the one that, the 24s have been coming with these similar fans forever, and they've always performed very well, so these are good fans. So I think that's all the new stuff I got right now. We're still working on some logistics stuff, but we'll have more on that a little bit later. So that's all I got.
They can't from us, but they could.
I hear Grant.
Yeah, I was going to say Grant's on a phone call or something.
Yeah, just a second. Sorry, guys.
Oh, you're good.
Mute him.
Hey, Brian.
Yeah, go ahead, man.
Hey, it's George. Just want to ask you a question, man. What's the email address for customer support again?
For tech support, it's support@thunderlaserusa.com. If you don't put the USA in there, China has adopted the same ticket system that we use, and theirs is support@thunderlaserusa. And ours is thunderlaserusa.com. And it's confusing, and I'm working on that, because in the manuals, most of the links still go to the Chinese site or related stuff, and that's throwing some people off. So we're working on that. But the place for all support starts at support@thunderlaserusa.com.
And using that address is also how you schedule the training?
It is.
Okay.
Yeah,
I just want to make
shoot
sure.
us an email and say, hey, or you can just go on the site. Here, I'm still showing it on. You can go in here to schedule and just search for schedule, and then there's the training. But a lot of times we like to get people to email us because they may wait until their training period, for instance, because they couldn't get the exhaust to come on. And the reason why is it only comes on when there's a job, so they don't do anything else until they're training, because they're afraid they're going to mess something up. And so we like to catch you early and say, oh, if it's your scanning offsets, here's a video on that, or have you done this, to try to get you ready so the training is on training and not setup, because we can do 30-minute sessions for setup if you need help with Ethernet connectivity or setting up a camera or things like that prior to doing that, so that it'll all be in place and ready when we go.
Because I was on one of the calls, I think it was about a month ago, and I submitted a support ticket. I think it was like a few days later, and I was having some issues with my camera. I think you made a suggestion, check on my MacBook to see if I've disabled the camera built into the Mac.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, my goal is to get that laser up and running before December 1st, especially since it's been here for 3.5 months now, 4 months.
Yeah. Well, if you want, just shoot us an email right now, or when you get a minute, and say, look, here's what I got, here's where I am, and then I'll fast track you through what you need to do.
Okay, awesome.
So
thank you, as always.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Hi, everybody.
Yeah, don't forget your cheat sheet going to Brian's cheat sheet too, because it'll help walk you through a lot of the setup as well.
Yeah. I'm working on that version too, but it may be like Q3 of next year when I get it done. But I'm gonna try to have some workflows. But yeah, the cheat sheet's the closest thing I have to any sort of thing that's in line with what you need to look for to prepare and all of that. So it's a lot to dig through though. There's some rabbit holes in there. So, how's it going, Grant?
Oh,
Going good,
great.
man. Going
I,
really
I
good.
I think you just like getting on these meetings so you can use your camera and your technology.
I got to
Cause
make use of it. It was like,
I
what,
know it.
$100 or something?
Yeah. So I think that's the whole reason you got it, so you could be on here and all of that. It wouldn't bother me if it was a radio show, but I guess this is a little better. Um, well, if anybody's got any questions or anything, like I say, feel free to jump in anytime. So,
I had a demo today, and every time I have a demo with my rotary, I have to kind of angle it just a little bit because, like I was telling you on the phone, I feel like I
mhm.
got the very first one that was ever made, and it's a little off, so I'm going to need to go in there and play with it a little bit. But if I just slant it a little bit, it works just fine.
Mhm. Yeah, that's crazy. So like I said, I can send you mine, and I'll take that one and take a hammer to it and get it straightened out, and I'll just keep it. You can have the other one, whatever works
Yeah,
for
I'm
you.
gonna see if I can play with it, but if I can't fix it, then I will send it to you. And the caliper, dude, I wasn't thinking when I bought that one, and I keep using it like it'll work. But when I've
Yeah.
already got the cup in the machine and I try to use a foot long caliper, it don't work.
That's funny. That's great. That reminds me of those big, like super big Zippos that you used to get. They were like this big. You know how they made just oddly large items, just kind of novelties? That kind of reminds me of that.
It
That's
took your whole
funny.
Yeah.
entire hand to flip the wheel.
Yeah, two people. You got to hold the
Yeah.
caliper, and somebody else has to turn the knob.
Yeah, a foot long caliper.
Yeah, Brian will
So
find better use out of that than I ever will.
yeah.
There's times in my shop I wish I had a foot long caliper.
So yeah, I just got my dial indicator in, so I'm gonna start using that for something. I got it for those rotaries, but to test how true they were and all of that. But I haven't gotten
Oh, and
around to that
Brian,
yet. Yeah.
on that Nova 24 that I have here, honestly, we could probably just use that one for what we were talking about because I want to get a Odin, a fiber, and a Nova here. And the Nova that I have will probably be like a 35 or 51, so I may not even use that thing.
I got you. Yeah, we can figure that out.
The only
We
thing
should.
is trying to get somebody out here to pick it up. I don't want to have to fool with it.
Yeah. Yeah. If I ever have to ship a honeycomb bed, I'm concerned about that because Clay says, yeah, I just wrapped a bunch of packing foam around it or bubble wrap and
What I
stuck
yeah,
a
what
label
I
on it.
do is I wrap bubble wrap around it, and then I
Okay.
tape it, and then I put 2 pieces of cardboard on the outside, tape that. I haven't had any issues. I don't
I
know
got
how
you.
else you would do it.
I got a
Okay.
question.
Basically, cut 2 pieces of plywood and put on either side of the honeycomb, and then
Yeah,
wrap it.
I opt for the cardboard.
I have plenty of cardboard, not very much plywood.
Yeah.
Hey, Brian,
Yeah.
this is John.
Hey, man.
Hey, I got a question. I gave you a ticket the other day about setting the bed correct, and I went back and I set all the rails without the honeycomb in,
Hmm.
and the corners are really, really close. I mean, all 4 corners. But then when I put the honeycomb in, the whole front, I have to look at those 2 metal pieces again, but the whole
Hmm.
honeycomb is high in the front by about 2 millimeters. It's fairly high compared to the rest. Once I put the honeycomb in, it's different.
I see.
The
And
grills are good, but I set the grill, I used the grills with a block of wood and the little plastic thing went around all the corners and I did the middles too, and they were all good.
okay. And
And
you
I
measured
had
from
a
the
custom,
blades?
huh?
Or were you measuring from the blades or straight from the frame?
From the blades.
Okay, because you were adjusting the rails that the blades sit in, correct?
Yes,
With the
yes,
Allen
sir.
screws, is that what you were doing?
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
gotcha.
And did you
Hey,
make sure
John.
that the pins were into the holes?
Yeah, those
Yeah,
index pins.
they got to go in the holes. I got to take another look at it because I just haven't had time this week. I'm putting in a roof window and how to do that. But
Yeah.
um, that might be possibly, but it was off a little bit before, and I haven't gotten back to look at it. But it's off all the way across. Before it was just like the ends. Now it's off all the way across.
That's
The
weird.
only reason I
If it's
mentioned that
Mhm.
is because I went in there to use the machine today, and you know, Brian, that they use the machine during the day, and I was like, why is this off? Come to find out, they put the honeycomb in backwards.
Gotcha.
Now, the
Hey,
honeycomb, the back's good with the honeycomb, but the front isn't. So all the way
I
Mine
across.
had
thought it
a
was.
slight twist in it as well when I first got it, and I put my hand like on one side of it, and the other side I just put my weight on it, and it flattened it right out.
I was gonna
It's
say you
just
could
the
get up in
twist
there and
out of it.
jump around a little bit and make sure it's all firmly seated.
Yeah, I just use my weight and just put a little bit on the front and the
Um,
back, and then it's flattened it
if
out.
Yeah, if the honeycomb is actually like warped or something, you should be able to tell by getting, looking from underneath and looking at the gap between how it lays on the blades, because the blades are supposed to fully support that, and the indexing pins are not supposed to have any strain on them. They're just to keep it from sliding around. So the full weight of the honeycomb in every place should be evenly distributed across each of those blades.
Okay, if it's not, just let you
If
know.
it's not, then we need to see why they're not touching. Now,
Okay.
when I say that, you might be able to slide a piece of paper through there, but I mean, half a millimeter, you shouldn't see anything. You shouldn't deviate any more than half a millimeter on any of those things.
Okay.
Hey, John, when I
Yes.
first got my machine, I noticed that I had a couple of the blades fell into the bottom. When I went to go put the blade back in, it just fell right through. And it wasn't until I really sat down and looked at things, I realized that one of the bars got stuck in a low position and it was actually bending part of that substructure, and I couldn't get my honeycomb to fit correctly. So I pulled all the bars out, all of them, put them all back in, and then the honeycomb dropped right in. But it was
Okay.
actually out of whack because one of the bars got dislodged during
Yeah,
shipping.
it was tweaking the frame. Yeah. And then once you pull all the blades out, that frame will relax, and then, they'll sit back in. And it sounds like you may have already taken all your blades out at one point or another. You would have
Yeah,
to almost to
I
do.
checked them all because then I went around the corners and I did the adjustment screws in the corners after, and I pulled some of the blades out. And there weren't any dropped off or anything. I appreciate the info, but there weren't any dropped off. I can't say. I mean, I actually pulled some of them out. I didn't pull every one of them out, but I did pull a couple of them out, and they all came right out. And there's no gaps at the ends because I know you got to watch that the frame could be spread.
Right.
Didn't see any of that either.
Okay.
So
Um,
I'll take a look at
yeah.
it. So leave that ticket open for now, and
Okay.
I just haven't had time
Sometimes
this week.
Yeah, sometimes they auto close after a month, but I think I have the notifications turned off because it doesn't matter. As soon as either one of us get back into it or even, reply back, it just opens back up like nothing's wrong. So
Okay.
we don't really have an open and closed other than in the analytics, to track technician performance, but I don't use that particular metric to track us because it's too I want competition, but it ends up being the regular kind of competition where I'm working this ticket and this ticket and this ticket and this ticket, and you're going to work those tickets, and I want all of our techs to be on all of the tickets all the time, so our numbers are goofy when admin looks at them.
Okay,
I'm
that's fine. I
sure.
just didn't know how y'all did it. That's all. Because
Yeah.
the CNC
Yeah.
guys, they kind of either leave the ticket open or close it until you get it resolved.
Right. Yeah, we try to leave them open for a month, and that sounds like a long time, but a lot of it is they may be waiting on a power supply from China or something. You know what I mean? So a lot of our tickets remain open. They're, even though we resolve issues in minutes, or first response times usually somewhere between 3 and 12 minutes, depending on how it comes in. After that, some tickets may be open a month or two while we're going through stuff, and as they get older and age, they drop a little bit to the list. But anytime somebody mails, it bumps you right back up to the top again.
Okay, thanks.
Hello, Travis. How's it up there in Alaska?
We're having snowmageddon up here today.
We
Veteran
had
They were
seven,
calling
season.
for 1 to 2 inches of snow. We're at 10 so far.
we got
Oh wow.
75 down here in Virginia. It's hot today. T-shirt weather.
It's it's warmed up. It's 24 degrees up here now. Yep, 10 inches of snow, and they just said that we're supposed to get another 3 to 5.
Wow.
Yep.
Well, so are you making like snow shovels in your lasers today or something?
I don't think
Is that your
wood snow
project?
shovels would work too
You,
well.
you need crawlers and stuff, huh? Big stuff,
Oh
snow
Yeah,
yeah.
cats. And stuff.
knowing him, he'll modify his lasers to shoot out in the parking lot to melt all the snow.
Get a
Oh,
I'm gonna be
flamethrower or
hit
something.
on that. I know that I'm getting frustrated. I've had my fiber laser has been stuck in customs for ever and a day. DHL's telling me it's U.S. Customs that it's stuck in. U.S. Customs is saying they cleared it on the 27th and it's back in DHL's hand. And now DHL is like, well, what does the package look like? I'm like, oh my God, we're back to this. So, yeah, so DHL has lost my fiber laser.
uh-oh.
We used to
Well,
call
I'm
DHL day late.
Huh?
We used to call DHL day late. Everything you sent around the world, DHL never made it on time when I was on a ship. It always showed
Yep.
up after we left.
Yep. Well, they're pushing 3 weeks late right now, and I'll give them one of the weeks because of customs. But yeah, beyond that, I'm like, where is it, guys?
you'll have to go hunting it down.
Yep.
So,
You didn't
and
need
it's
it
not so
anyways.
much that they lost your laser; it's that you don't have your laser.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
It's
Uh,
it's not
I don't
it's
care
not
if they
how.
lose it as long as it gets here.
Yeah, as long as you get one, Yeah, that's crazy. So
The sad
All
thing
right.
is they don't care.
Nope. Not one bit.
Doesn't affect them in any way, shape, or form.
Nope.
so Grant, do you have anything new and exciting going on that you just can't wait to let the cat out of the bag or anything?
I know
The
this is a
reason I
feeding.
No,
There's
the
a
reason I
feeding
asked that is
question here.
because Jim said, yeah, we can talk about all the stuff we're not supposed to talk about before we start recording, and so you weren't on here yet then. So I figured I would just check with you. He likes to give us.
Nothing that I shouldn't talk about. Just ready for this building to be built out here. I don't know how much of y'all know. George has been out here. George, we're adding on in the back. There's going to be more office space, and then to the side of the building, there's going to be a warehouse. And so they've been like really hammering down out there. It's been loud, but ready to have an office with a demo room and all that good stuff. But besides that, not a whole lot else going on.
So warehouse, does that mean you're just going to start stocking these things?
It's not going to be a Thunder Laser warehouse. It's going to be a Stitch in Heaven warehouse. The goal is to stock these things, but we're selling way too many of them to stock them. Whatever ones we can get over here, I'm gonna give them to people instead of keeping them. You know.
It's
You're the
been that way
man,
from
Grant.
day
You're the
one.
man.
It's been pre-order like that from day one. I think from day one. So these weights aren't really shocking to me. I mean, they're a little more, with the COVID stuff, but even prior to that, it's not terrible. Not once you get used to it.
Wasn't it you
And
guys went from selling like 20 units a month to 200 and something units a month?
less than that, but now we sold 130 something last month, and I think we did that the 2 months before. But we're hoping in December we sell over 200.
The first year I did that, I'd moved like what 80 machines the whole year, I think. But that was me just walking in fresh. And I was like, whoa, that's cool. And now they're doing that in a week. I'm like, what? What's going on here?
Yeah, there was one week in December. I think it was the last week of the month. We sold 83 in 3 days, and we all had COVID, working from home.
Yeah, and the weights aren't that bad. I mean, I ordered a CNC router made in the USA, and it took 3.5 months.
hmm
It
Yeah.
sounds
Maybe
familiar
one
to
day,
me.
if the ports ever clear up, we can get them in like a month or so.
Yeah.
'Cause it only takes
How,
a month, like 2 to 4 weeks, to get it from China to a customer if there was no problems.
hmm
so how many you got sitting out there in the ocean now?
There's no telling. Hundreds.
He doesn't want to admit it.
There's really no telling. I could go count, but there's probably like 6 to 10 containers sitting out there at the sea, and there's like 20 machines on each container.
Jesus. Oh,
Yeah.
give you guys my father-in-law today. He come into my shop. He says, "Guess what I did?" And I'm like, "What?" He says, "I bought this big, huge package of toilet paper." And I'm like, "Okay." Yeah, I think it was a 24 pack. He said it was the last one in the grocery store. I'm like, okay. He says, you want to know how much it cost? I'm like, oh, this must be bad. $26
Wow.
for a
Oh, before
24, $26 for toilet paper. That
that's
is
See, that's
insane.
that's
insane.
normal for us up here.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Before I forget, happy Veterans Day, and I just want to take a minute for that. I didn't serve personally, but I have family members that did, so thanks everyone. So I thought I would take a minute. I didn't realize that until the mail didn't run. To be real honest
yeah,
with you, I was
same for
wondering
me
why they
too.
didn't get my stuff.
And you
Grant,
guys
So
didn't you
deserve it.
serve?
Thank you very much.
We still
if it
got our
makes
kids
anybody feel
then.
any better, I don't remember Christmas or birthdays either. So I'm just that way. But anyway,
Grant, didn't you serve in the military?
He's
Thought you
too.
did. My bad.
He's not.
No.
I
He's not
served.
old enough. He only graduated last year from high school.
Just about.
I did 20. I did 22 years in the Navy.
wow. All
Thank
right,
you.
man.
I
Thank
did
you.
28 in the Navy Reserve, but my wife did 30 active duty.
Nice.
God bless you
Wow.
both.
My daughter's
Yeah,
on number 22.
I was active duty. My
Awesome.
wife did 20 years also.
Yeah, it's
Awesome.
like three
Awesome.
quarters of my family is literally active duty. I've got my cousin and her husband, which I think one or both of them's retired now, but every single one of their kids is in the military, and they got one in high school that's already enlisted. And they got 6 kids, so they're that little group right there in itself is crazy military.
Hmm. So
How many people are in the process of making 8 million Christmas ornaments right now?
I had nothing.
not me.
I mean,
None of you guys?
Yep.
No.
I'm still working on getting my
I'm
laser
waiting for you
working.
to show me on YouTube how to do all that.
Yeah, I know. I've been slacking lately.
Yeah.
Slacking. I just figured you gave up.
No, I haven't given up yet. I've just no. We've been swamped because some of the larger contracts that we have just been. We have FedEx. They brought us 9 trucks to letter up for them, and I'm like, yeah, great, yay! On top of everything else. So
Yeah, you
yeah.
do a lot more than just lasers too. You
Oh,
a big you do a lot
we're
of
a full
commercial
service shop.
industrial
We
stuff.
do. Yeah, so we do full, large format sublimation, large format printing, vehicle wraps and graphics, screen printing, direct to film, direct to garment, um, sticker and label making. We do everything. We even have a little boutique up front.
Hmm.
I figured you was getting slammed. I was like, yeah, it's that time of year he's getting majorly
And
slammed.
Yeah,
it's been
it probably
insane.
pays a little better to wrap a bus than it would be to make Sally an ornament.
A little bit, yeah.
Are you guys all in the Hustle and Burn group?
I am. I just kind of sit back. I like watching what they
I
are
like the
all
drama.
chit-chatting about in there, and I just kind of laugh.
Well, so I actually talked with a couple of the 2 ladies who run the site. One of them actually got a one-on-one session with oh God, what's his name? Mark Cuban. They
Okay.
won a contest where you get like a personalized, like, hey, here, I'll help you, get your business up and running more efficiently. And the number one, there's 2 things that he said that left an impression on her. Number 1 was find a niche, stick to it. And number 2, sales cures all your problems.
Yep. So the best thing that I can say is find something that no one else likes to do. If you find something that no one else likes to do, that is a perfect niche to be in.
Yep.
The other
So
question I
in my
got.
case,
Oh, sorry.
that's why we have a lot of our contracts. Like for example, with FedEx, most of the shops up here don't carry adequate assurance or insurance to be able to handle a FedEx contract, which surprised the crap out of me because they only require $1 million insurance policy, and I've
I've
got a
got more
5
than
million.
that.
Yeah, I've got 5 million, 10 million because we do military work. So,
Yeah.
it was a cake in the, walk in the park to get that contract. And now they're like, oh, hey, we've noticed when you put our decals on that the vehicles come back really clean. Do you guys wash them? I'm like, well, yeah. They're like, oh, well, do you want to come over on site and start doing our whole fleet every week? I'm like, Let me think about it. But
Yeah, it's
yeah,
weird that no, the companies ain't carrying that because I mean, my tiny little shop, I'm carrying more than that.
yeah, yeah, and they just can't find any wrap shops. I mean, because we have that policy, we have our bonding, we've got garage keeper insurance. So like when I'm installing a wrap on a vehicle, if I cut too deep and cut into the paint, my insurance company will pay to repaint the whole vehicle. So it's just I don't understand why people don't value insurance as much. I mean, yeah, it can get a little pricey, but you just price your products accordingly. So. But yeah,
So how many
we're in the Christmas ornament right now. We're trying to mass produce them. We were
question is
supposed
how
to.
much let? Oh, okay, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say we were supposed to have a show this weekend. We're not ready for it, so we ended up having to back out of it at the last minute. So our first show is not going to be until Black Friday.
Is there any list of materials that cut good on your machine, on the lasers? Like, a list of, well, you want plastics, these are the right ones. If you want this, these are the right ones. These are the right ones to spray on the metal. These are the right ones. Has anybody got a list about, when you're
So
coming into this, it's pretty hard to find what's the correct materials. And you guys throw them out every
no,
now and then, but it's kind of
I started to make a list a while back, but then what I found is with me being up in Alaska, our supply chain is so much different than everyone else's.
that.
The list was really kind of useless for anybody. But like what we'll be doing is on Mad Moose, we'll be selling a lot of blank material, pre-cut wood, all that kind of stuff. And we're going to be doing, things like this, pre-printed wood that you can cut out for ornaments and whatnot. So just because I've got the equipment to print stuff out that large, most people don't. And, they turn out to be, let's see if I've got an ornament done.
He loses the wheels on that chair, he's going to be in trouble.
I just hope he comes back.
So does anybody else happen to have a list? Or that might be something
Well,
good to have on a website, to be honest with you, Brian.
there's a problem. There's a materials list, and there's that, and that's a good starting point. And then the materials library is based off that. But the problem with a list is you may get two pieces of ply, and one may cut like butter, and the other one you might not be able to cut through it at all. I mean, things are so different. There's so many variables. With Thunder, we have the luxury of talking about speed and power and being able to have intelligent discussions about it because they're all the same. They're all calibrated the same way and that kind of thing and standardized. But for instance, if you tried to even have a materials sheet like we do with 500 speed, 20 power for engraving acrylic or whatever is on there, whatever's on the list, if that was out in a generic Chinese laser forum, for instance, where everybody has all different machines, and even if they are the same machines, they may have different power supplies, the configurations may be different. There's no way to even have any kind of conversation about that at all. So that's why you don't see a lot about it. It's voodoo is what it is. Really.
Well, I'm talking like stuff like Travis mentioned about he put up the link for the jug of stuff to put on the slate to get it to cut.
Oh yeah.
I've seen some other videos where they talked about 2 or 3 different metal sprays, including you, Brian. You have one where you tried 2 different metal sprays, that kind of stuff. Those probably some of those brands are available to all of us, no matter where we live in the country, just knowing that they exist. And
Sure.
I
The
talked to
Facebook
Daniel.
users group has a lot on it.
Does it?
Yeah.
Yep. Well, like the metal sprays, in my mind, the only one that works good is a Laser Bond 100. All the other ones are kind of junk.
So how many people's done Let's Go Brandon stuff out of curiosity?
I have stayed away from it. Yeah, so here's a little tidbit of information. The day after that actually happened, it was already trademark turn. So everyone
It was
that's
like,
doing that now, that trademark attorney is running rampant, having fun with it.
So back to that question you asked, John. I do have a draft about marking compounds, about Ceramark, Brilliance, Enduramark, and then a bunch of Heaves, and then there's Thermark and there's Laser Bond, and I can add to it. And if you'll notice that I created it on March the 18th, it's just one of those things that's not on the front burner, but
But
they're in
here
the works.
I can save you a lot of time. So Brilliance is only good for their colors and other stuff. Their black spray sucks, but like their frosted sprays and their colored sprays are really good. Ceramark
So
and Duramark.
so not
Huh?
any good for black. Brilliance isn't any good for black. It's just their colors.
I didn't care for it. Honestly, with Brilliance's black, I got better results with just straight dry moly lube than I did with Brilliance. Um, but dry moly lube is a royal pain to work with. It's super messy.
Oh,
Um,
you're
you
not
played with
kidding.
that one before?
Oh gosh, a lot in the K40 days.
Yeah,
So
don't really care for that.
the colors are good, huh?
But yeah, the Laser Bond 100, I have never had issues with. It adheres great, it engraves great. It's got a really wide range of power tolerances, where some of the other ones you have to have it really super dialed in. But yeah, the Laser Bond 100 is probably my go-to one.
And that's funny because that's one you don't hear about all that much.
Nope,
Yeah, I
you
didn't
don't.
know about it till just now.
Yep. And I like
It's
to keep it that way. When my stuff turns out nice and black on stainless, like, how are you doing that? I'm like, dry moly lube.
yeah.
And it's
Also
priced
how
right.
you apply it, well, the other thing is somebody looks at a can of this stuff and goes, oh my gosh, it's $100. That's crazy. But it's kind of like the same thing I saw, like if you have a laser printer, one of my laser printers to put new cartridges in it, new toners, it's like $700. But I could get 20,000 color prints out of it before I ever had to do anything. It would last me 6 years before I ever had to get toner again. And if you apply this stuff correctly, the rattle can is the least efficient manner of doing it.
Mhm.
There's a lot of waste with a rattle can. The best way is even a cheap or inexpensive or cost-effective airbrush. You don't have to go for the gold on that. You can use a tester or something. Probably would give you enough spread for that kind of thing. You're not, putting clear lacquer on a 50 Oldsmobile. You're putting on some, coating. So that's the best way because you can apply it. And if you keep your substrate clean, you can, even if you do have overspray, you can scrape it up. If you get the stuff that's the powder and mix it up yourself, you can rethin it and you can put it back in the container and reuse any excess. If you do happen to have a lot that you don't use, you can scrape it back up as long as it's not contaminated and reuse it, introduce it back into the container. So there's a lot of benefits to using that powder and mixing it yourself and using an airbrush if you're going to do a lot of it. There's also the tape, but I think Ceramark does the tape.
Yeah, I haven't tried the tape yet.
The tape is really cool. A lot of people that do electrical contracting and they have those stainless steel, or they do like hospital outlets, and all of them have to be numbered. Every outlet has to have a number on it. And a breaker, all the breakers they use it a lot for that kind of stuff. And because it's easy to apply, you just put it on. It costs a little more, but at the end of the day, it costs them less in time, to pay a little more for a material that they can apply to that small area that they need to do quickly.
I just use my UV flatbed printer for that.
Oh, be quiet.
It works great.
Hey, Brian,
Yeah, I know it does. Yeah, go ahead.
now that we're talking about this, Rhonda was just asking me a while back when I first started, I think you told me about a company that makes powder for metal marking that are different colors. So you can metal
Heaves.
mark different. How do you spell it?
Heaves. It's Heves. Hang on, I'll pull it up. Oh, what happened? Did I get? Oh, never mind.
Heaves is good. I played around with a little bit of their stuff, and now Brilliance is coming out with the colors as well. But yeah, and even if you wanted to start off with the rattle can on that marking spray, I mean, I can spray easily 100+ tumblers out of one can of that stuff.
Yeah.
So, your cost still isn't that bad.
Let's see. Here's the reference chart. Now some of this is for other stuff too. They have some for porcelain. They have some for glass. They have some for metals, I think. So yeah, that's the one. Do you want me to link that, Grant, so you can copy the link in the chat?
Yeah, if you don't mind.
I haven't looked at the chat yet. Okay, good. Nobody said anything because I sure would have missed it. But yeah, that's the Heaves ink.
Travis, what label printer are you using?
Right now I'm using an iColor 250, and I'm getting ready to, we're getting ready to upgrade it to, what is it?
I've looked at a couple different brands, like the big ones, like the Roho, or Rolo, whatever the heck it is. And
So
the
a lot of it comes down to how much you actually are planning on doing. So my little iColor 250 that I have, what I like about it is it prints and cuts all at the same time. It's definitely not the fastest in the world. I can only do about 3,000 stickers a day. But the new one, that's not many. That's not much for stickers.
Okay.
I'm
The
talking about
new one,
for shipping labels. You're not using it for shipping labels, are you?
oh no, no,
That's
no,
what I'm
no.
talking. Shipping label. Sorry, I missed that. I
I
missed
use
correct.
the Dino 4X. It's compatible
Yeah,
with more systems out there than any of the others.
yep, yeah. For shipping labels, that's why I use it as a Dymo 4XL, because like Brian said, it syncs right into everything that I use.
Yeah, because I've looked at that, and was it the Roho or Ro? I forget the other brand name was.
Save yourself
Now, if
a
you want to
hassle.
go commercial, you can get a Zebra, but
You know, zebras
Yes.
aren't bad, but there's just something about the Dymo is just kind of plug and play.
it
And
is.
don't buy the Dymo brand labels. You can get the knockoffs off of Amazon or eBay for next
Yeah,
to nothing, and they work great.
yeah. I've
Um,
never had a jam. I've never had one
yeah,
No,
come rolled on me or anything.
it's
yeah. So
Rolo. I guess it's what it's called. The other one I was looking at.
yeah, so we just fried our first Dymo label maker. We had to replace one of them here, and it was 7 years old. And we print a lot of labels.
You said it's a Dymo XL.
4XL.
4XL. Yeah.
Yep, that's the only one of theirs that will actually hold the 4x6 shipping labels.
And it's also in the list of compatible printers for most of those applications, even if they're web-based, like for FedEx or UPS or ShipStation or any of those that integrate with a label printer automatically. That one is super super common.
Yep. Yeah, and that's what
And I
we
think
do is
it's
all of our different stores and everything, they all feed to ShipStation, and we use ShipStation to feed out to the Dymo.
Yeah,
yeah, I
that
think that's
label
actually
printer
the
was
one
the
I had.
funnest thing I've ever
Memory.
had is when I put that label maker there. Because now when somebody says I need a sensor for my water chiller, I can get all the information and hit a button and walk around and throw it in a box, and my label's sitting there, and I stick it on there and put it in the outgoing box, and I'm done like 5 minutes. It's
Yep.
it's
Yeah,
incredibly
I used to
cool.
do it all by hand when I was doing retail before, and I was like, this time, this go around, if I want to go back into doing retail, I'm getting a label maker. That handwriting, making labels by hand
Yeah,
sucks.
and this
Yeah.
helps a lot too. A barcode scanner. I've got barcodes on everything, so I manage inventory just by scanning it in and out, and I can get the serial numbers off of a DSP before I send it to someone just by clicking a button, and it goes right into my systems. It's wireless, so that's a
Yep.
good thing to have too. You can get one for $20.
Yeah, I spent a little more on mine. The one
Yeah,
that we have is Bluetooth, and
yeah,
so it actually it'll hook up to all of our computers. So we've got barcodes on the computers. So you just go up and you scan the computer, and it'll actually sync that barcode scanner to that computer
with
while
that
you're using
computer.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah, so it's really really nice, and I think it was still only like $60 or something like that. It wasn't
yeah,
much.
yeah.
Yeah, the other thing
Now,
I'm gonna have to get a price gun because I've got a couple local stores. I started putting tumblers and stuff in because they're just letting me. Instead of
Mhm.
having to go in and use their price guns all the time, I was like, it may just be more efficient if I just buy a cheap price gun and just price the stuff here, and
Well,
before I take it there.
if you're getting a Dymo 4XL, you don't have to run the big shipping labels on that. You can run small, like the labels I use
address
for pricing
labels.
here is they're called book spine labels. They're 1 inch by 2 inches,
Oh, so
and
you
it's
can run the smaller labels too on that thing.
yep,
Hmm.
yep. So,
Oh,
and that's what I do is we just run those book spine labels, and like I said, they're 1 inch by 2 inch, perfect size, and it prints out all of our description, the price, and the barcode.
so you can even put your company logo and stuff on it then.
You can do whatever
Hmm.
you want. Yep.
Okay, yeah, it's safe Because I mean, the price come is only like $30, $40, but the heck if I can buy a roll of stickers for that.
Yep. And then you're just going, oh, I need 50 of them, and you hit print and walk away.
It's instead of hitting and changing, it'd be way easier.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you could get the 450 turbo. It's a twin rider to go besides your 4XL when you get a little bigger, and you can have 3 different size labels ready to go just the push of a button.
Yep. That's the other one that we have. So we have a 4XL for our shipping labels, and we have a 450 turbo for all of our normal stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, and actually the other one that I have, it doesn't work for shipping labels, but for the stuff I do in the back for work order tags, is I've got a Brother label printer that runs full roll stock that's not pre-trimmed to any length, and it automatically cuts it to whatever. So when we're doing like custom Pantone mix inks or whatever for screen printing, we just log in, get our Pantone ticket, stick it on the side of the jug, and it has all of our measurements on it for us to weigh out.
Yeah.
That's pretty slick too.
Neat stuff.
Hey, Brian, I sent you a message in the chat window.
Yeah,
I'm
I
gonna
saw
be,
that. I'll have to check that out.
yeah. So I'm not in telling everybody to go out and get one, but I spend a lot of time out in the garage. The garage is very dusty. I was looking for a way to keep the air in there a little bit better, and also cut down on some of the smoke, because you still get a little bit of smoke that leaks into the room. And I've also learned that when you etch or cut acrylic, that's a wonderful smell. So I found when I was in Best Buy, Dyson makes an air purifier. It also heats and cools. So my garage is detached from the house. It's not attached. It's a separate standalone dwelling. And I do have a split heater out there. But if that fails, and up here in the Northeast, it gets kind of cold, my water chiller will freeze, and that'll, lock up my tube and crack it. So I found this thing from Dyson. It's called an HP02. Anything O2 and up in the HP series, as long as I think it's an even number, heats and cools and purifies the air. And then after that, it's basically like bells and whistles. But even with the little thing running at max speed at 10, very quiet, unobtrusive. You can put it in a straight stream or have it like on widespread. You can oscillate it, and then you can control it remotely from your cell phone. So I use it as like a backup heater, and I use it to purify the air out there. So this way it's, doesn't smell as bad. So
Gotcha.
Weird little tip for everybody that I discovered.
Yeah, I was scrolling through. It looks like as I was scrolling, you were hitting every one of these bullet points right on the head as I was going down through there.
I think he's an affiliate.
Yeah. Best part, if you buy it on eBay, you can pick the thing up for like $300, because new in the store, they're crazy. They want like $650 or $700. I'm like, no way, I'm too cheap.
Gotcha.
Yeah, we just gave that just for my wife's purifier for her office, and she had to reopen. The state medical board said you have to have air purifiers and you have to have this, and we spent over that just for that stupid thing, and it doesn't do all that stuff.
Yeah, they get on up there.
Here's something that I think these are kind of spendy, but I think everyone needs to have one of these in their laser room. So this is a live air quality monitor. So it actually sits there and it tells me like if in case I'm cutting wood that has formaldehyde in it, it'll measure all my formaldehyde levels, VOCs, my PM10, PM2.5, PM1, and PM2.5 or 0.5.
Who makes that?
Huh?
Who makes that?
There, just put it in chat.
What kind of cost?
I got one. I got a portable one.
What kind of cost?
Ooh, I haven't seen that one.
Yeah.
I like this one because I plug it in on USB. It's got a little card in the back, a little SD card, so it actually logs it. So that way, if I ever have, once you guys get bigger and have employees and stuff, it comes in handy, because that way, if I ever have an employee that goes, hey, I got sick because of the air quality there, I can go, no, you didn't. I have the data for it.
I'm scared of running one of those in my shop, because the smells and odors that comes out of this place is bad.
Yep.
Hey, we'll get a link up here in just a second in the chat. I'll pull up the one that I got. Do you know the one that you got, Travis?
Yeah, I
Put the
put it in
link.
chat.
Did
I
you?
already linked it.
Yep.
The
Yeah.
extra
So yeah, the
Wi-Fi
one I
yells
got
at me as
is
it is.
they're $176.
Okay.
Nothing. And it
Mine
looks
was like
nice.
100. Let's see, but it doesn't do the logging like that one. Now I'm gonna have to send this one back and get another one.
Has an SD card on it. I would assume it logs.
Let's see if I can find my air quality meter. Yeah, there we go. This is the one that I got. And okay, it was 115 bucks. I'll link this one too. Again, it doesn't have the it doesn't have the data. At least not. I don't think it does. I'll have to look. I
Yeah,
don't know
my
if it
wife already
shows it up
yells
there.
at me as it is because the booth in here, I could just see her, that thing going off constantly. She would be yelling at me.
Yeah, let me
Yep.
get back to the chat.
And that's the one thing, like with mine, I've got limits set on it, so it screeches at me whenever I break a limit. So, anyone who's in here, if it's me, I'm just kind of ignore it. But if it's any of my workers or my wife or anything, if they hear that go off, they have to get out of the room until it flushes.
Yeah, and I like that one you've picked out there, Travis. Maybe I'll get one of those for home, and then I'll keep this other one for my toolbox.
Yeah, no, I've been really happy with it. And what's nice is even though it's a box and it plugs in, I mean, like right now it's running and it's got a little battery in it. It'll run for a couple days on a battery. And so when we go out and do on-site installs, especially out at the hospital, they always love to yell at me for, smells. I'm like, I'm using a citrus cleaner. It's fine. They're like, no, the VOCs. And so I'll usually have my little meter sitting there with me. I'm like, VOCs are just fine.
Hmm.
Yeah, one of the sprays I use in here has got 850. I actually have to sign waivers to get it.
That's awesome. Yeah,
Yeah,
the
it's
stuff I use is
nasty.
I have a couple products that I use. Like one of them, I don't let anyone touch. I'm the only one who will use it. It comes out of Korea, and it's a special tar remover for vehicles, and it's the nastiest stuff. I mean, it's worse than using diesel on a car to remove tar and bugs off of, but it
Yeah,
works.
it's the one conversion varnish I use is one of the ones I have to sign a commercial license for because they just don't sell it to anybody. But even probably 2 to 3 days after the off gassing, it's horrible. But the thing is, that conversion varnish is almost indestructible.
Yep.
I've actually used it on a countertop. After it cures, it's perfectly fine.
Anybody
Uh,
ever tried Campbell Crystalac? You put it together. You put the stuff in,
two
but
part,
yeah, it's a two-part. You catalyze it,
yeah.
and
Hmm.
but it's really good. It's like you say, it's not cellulose lacquer. It's a chemical bond lacquer, and it's impervious to all kinds of stuff. But boy, what a wicked smell!
The ones I like the most probably is ML Campbell's Magnamax
Yeah,
lacquer. We sprayed that in the finish shop, and I think it has a good smell. Everybody else says it stinks. It's the conversion varnishes that absolutely kill you.
I'm worried about your nose if you think it smells good.
I actually have to with the conversion varnishes. You can always tell when I use it because that's actually when I grab a respirator.
Yeah.
The
Yeah, we've
lacquers, I don't
gotten
worry
away
about it.
from using lacquers and varnishes. Anymore, if it's something that's food, we use walrus oil on, and then if it's like a plaque or something that just needs to be protected, we're just doing a really light coat of epoxy over it now. And the epoxy that we're using is no odor, no VOC, and takes a little longer to dry, but yeah, works good.
Sorry, I got sidetracked.
Dead silence.
We just hit our 5,000th support ticket. The system's been in effect about 2 years, and we just hit 5,000. So
I don't know
that's
if that's
Was it
good or
me? Because I
bad.
already got a response.
um, did you get a response?
Yeah, Chris already replied. I'm like, oh my
Gotcha.
gosh.
Yeah. Hey, you want to see something cool? I'll show you real quick. Here's how this kind of works. So let me get this all the way up here. So Chris actually made the 5,000th ticket, and he says he needs a red dot pointer. So all I have to do is go over here and put Chris in here. I think there he is, and hope that, okay, there's no address stuff. Then I just add the item, and then boom, in a minute, I didn't know I didn't have his address in there. But you add the item, and then you can go back into the ticket system and check. So all of this stuff, we can look and see if there's been any previous orders. That one's not going to show up yet. So I'll send him a red dot. But I can have that out the door in like 5 minutes in the outbox from here, from the first time the ticket came in. Of course, I know his machine. I don't have to go through with him. Let me get your serial number and all that stuff, because I know his machine. But that's kind of neat. He actually made the 5,000th ticket to make it roll over.
Okay,
It's
so now
funny.
I have to ask, now that I know that that's all done on WordPress, what is that plugin name?
That is not WordPress. Oh, you talking about the ticket system?
Yeah.
The actual ticket system, yeah, that's just an integration. But our parts system, our e-commerce is WooCommerce and WordPress. This is actually Freshdesk,
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
and it's just got a bunch of integrations for our calendar and Zoom and our remote assist. See, we can start or schedule a remote session right from here. So if I
Gotcha.
needed to, yeah, it does some pretty cool stuff, and it can look at the total time spent. If there's any service tasks, there's time logs. It'll keep track of how long we're in each ticket, to-do lists, and the whole bit. So yeah, it's pretty neat stuff.
Huh.
There's a free tier of that too.
Hmm. Might have to look at
Freshdesk. Yeah, that's what Lightburn uses too. I think is Freshdesk, and I think a few other people. I think Cohesion 3D uses Freshdesk too. But it's enterprise level stuff. I mean, you start paying, when you get up there in the tiers. But by that time, you're doing you need it, and it's worth it.
that.
So growing pains are good, but it is a tiered system. You can add stuff as you grow. So it's
Yeah.
got full dispatch. I can have service technicians on the ground, and it's got a full dispatch center. Where it schedules the times and the appointments and checks where you're at and everything. It's cool. So.
Yep. So, and that's actually for everyone on here, that's one thing that I would highly recommend. If you don't have a system in place to track your orders, track your jobs, and track them through the production statuses, spend the money on it. So, a good one is not going to be cheap, but they're worth their weight in gold, because it will boost your production up quite a bit. It'll keep you on track. My big issue that I always had is I want to work on the projects that I think are fun. I don't want to do the other just monotonous work. And so my wife's always having to keep me on track for that. Trying to make sure that I'm getting all the jobs done in a timely manner. And if it wasn't for my wife and the software that we have, I'd be all over the place, and I'd have jobs sitting around for months just because I didn't want to do them.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, I got that happening right now.
So, yep.
So I see the Aubrey's in here. Has she ever introduced herself on here, or is she just stay isolated? And she must not be listening.
That's my guess. That's just to boost the stats up, so it looks like there's more people on here.
I just figured
Yeah.
I got to give somebody harassment.
Yeah, well, if that was the case, I'd just be on here 40 different times. I just use a different email address for everyone. Like 40 BBs in there.
Yep.
But yeah, that's all that I can think of that's anything
Yeah,
new.
this place was probably safer when I first started watching these videos, and I never said nothing.
Oh, I think it's totally safe. We would never do anything to get out of hand anyway.
No, that's for after Brian leaves that we
That's
get out
the
of hand.
after party. Yeah, that's the after party. I'll leave you the keys to my office and come back and it's trashed.
I told him how out of control those things get. I said they've been going like the last time I think it was me and Jason. I think we went 3.5 hours or something like that. We were sitting here chatting. I was like, him and I both looked at the clock. Go, oh my god, what time is it?
Yeah, that's kind of wild. So, well, shoot. Does anybody else have any questions or comments or gripes or complaints or accolades or anything?
And Travis, yeah, I like to talk to you afterwards, or either on here or Facebook or something.
Okay.
Word.
Yeah, I can hang out for a few.
Okay.
So what do you guys all want to learn on the next class? Do you want me to start getting into Christmas stuff?
Sure.
Photos.
Photos on subway tile slate multicolor.
Yeah, not the Nicky Norton method yet.
Don't want to go that far yet.
I want to try that one of these days.
Oh, it's
I'm
a
actually going to be.
blast, but the big thing is you've got to invest the time to learn how to spray paint out of a rattle can and
Even
get it consistent every single time. And then you've got to sit down and just play with your laser because I can throw out the numbers I use for multicolor, but it's
it won't
not going
be
to
the
matter.
same for, yeah.
Yeah, because
Too many variables.
someone might be spraying 2 microns thicker than I am, and that changes everything.
Yeah. So, well, cool. I guess I'm gonna jump off here. I got a few new tickets to go look at, and I better get Chris his red dot pointer. We wouldn't want his red dot to be fuzzy for too long. That's a perfect 5,000th ticket. So
Yeah.
anyway.
Hey, Brian,
So,
speaking of, so when I bought my 63, it was before you were around, and it was before they did a lot of things. I don't have a wide nozzle for that. I've been using the wide nozzle off my 35. Is there any way I can just order just the wide nozzle?
let's see. That's the 6mm. That one.
Which one? Yeah.
Let me look. Because I save a couple of these out of every, my inventory. I fib a little on it, so I have a fudge factor for warranty stuff. I may have
Okay.
one back there. Let me look, and I'll shoot you a message and let you know here in a little bit.
Okay, sounds good.
So, yep. All
And when
right.
you asked about other things to have on the call, my local vet, when I was over there, he was talking to me about maybe making pet memorials in stone. I actually have a buddy of mine who sells soapstone, and he can give me scraps at $0 charge.
Mm-hmm.
So that
I've
might
never
be
tried
something.
soapstone. There's a lot of it around here in my neck of the woods, I think. At least the close to where I lived, it was called Soapstone Mountain, and I can't imagine they would call it that if it didn't actually contain some. So, but I've seen stranger things.
Yeah, because we had to put my cat down, 16-year-old cat, and then turn around and we adopted a foster/adopted another kitten. Two, lost one of those two all within 2 weeks.
Oh wow!
And now my in-laws, which they live here, they're going to have to put their dog down next week. So we've been to the vet. And I'm going, yeah, we've talked about memorials a couple times.
So does anyone in here do epoxy work with their laser or in
I just want to
conjunction
start
with their
doing
laser?
epoxy.
So, we toyed around with the idea of engraving, like, having when a dog or cat gets put down, they take an ink pad, put it on their foot, put on a piece of paper, scanning that in, engraving it on wood or whatever. We toyed around with that idea, but what we ended up going with, and actually works really well, is after they get the pet cremated or whatever they do, they send us about a teaspoon of the ashes, and we incorporate it and mix it in with epoxy and like little charms and that kind of stuff.
Gotcha.
So, and it's kind of neat.
Yeah, I asked my in-laws, my mother-in-law, because she's really attached about doing the cremation, and no, they wanted it buried with the other animals, so I had to go out and dig another 3-foot hole in the woods.
But worst case scenario, there's always the good Marlboros or Camels that you can use to get the ashes.
Yeah, you could. Well, I'm gonna
Just don't
jump off
tell
here,
anyone.
guys. Do you want me to hand this off to anybody? I'm gonna
Give it to
stop
me.
the recording.